Thank you, David.
Our panel is back with us. Kennedy, will Democrats pay the price for this in the midterm elections? Because, again, it has happened in blue states and red states. We should make that clear. But overwhelmingly, it's been in the blue states. Will the Democrats pay a price?
They're going to do whatever they can to distract from this. They're going to talk about whatever is going on in Iran. They're going to talk about rising gas prices. And, they're going to be playing the hits in terms of trying to combat Trump. And it is up to those Republican candidates to make the case to voters that this is unacceptable. This is happening in your state. This is affecting you and your family. Are you having an affordability crisis in California and New York? That's because your taxes are so high, because the politicians are running cover for these scams.
That's right.
They've known it all along.
Fraud is never abstract. It's going to show up somewhere. And I think in order to beat the Democrats in the midterm elections, you're going to have to really talk about affordability and how this example of fraud is impacting their affordability. I think we need to get back to the Doge message when Trump came back into office, where it was too much spending, too much waste, too much fraud. That's what people want to hear, because right now the message isn't landing.
But Marcus, staying with you for a second, couldn't Democrats pick up on that? I mean, Fetterman clearly likes the work that Dr. Oz is doing. Yeah. Are there other Democrats?
By the way,
he is a Democrat. He is officially a Democrat. But do you think more Democrats might follow his lead if, in fact, there is a price to pay at the polls?
I think whoever gets to the middle message quicker to say it's too expensive for you, things are too unaffordable for you, and these are the 4 reasons why, and these are my 3 solutions, that person's going to have a strong chance to win.
Caroline, have Republicans made this big enough an issue? Don't you think that they could do more to telegraph what's been happening in this country and how Democrats are to blame for a lot of it?
I think they have a much longer runway to make the case to the American people. This is ripe for them to capitalize on. And look, Democrats claim to have a monopoly on humanitarianism. What Republican messaging needs to be is to lean into the emotion in their rhetoric, because that's where it hurts for most people. We need stories of, because these funds were abused and misallocated to fraudsters who spent it on luxury cars and vehicles and property, certain vulnerable groups in American society didn't get it, which includes autistic children, those who are elderly and dying on their deathbeds. That also includes the disabled. There's like a dime a dozen, hungry kids. There's so many different groups that have been hurt, and if they're the ones who think that empathy triumphs over all, we need to spin that and make it favor us.
Well, OJ, one of the most infuriating, Caroline was talking about stories. One of the most infuriating stories we heard is that some of the money that was stolen by fraudsters in Minnesota might have been sent, all the details haven't been nailed down, but a lot have, to terrorist organizations in Somalia. I mean, that's an extraordinary thing. It appears that the Treasury Secretary of the United States, Mr. Besson, is thinking of ways to stop that. Here's what he said earlier. Roll tape.
From now on, anyone who wires money out from one of these money service businesses has to check a box saying whether they are on public assistance. And if you are on public assistance, we are going to start pushing that you cannot wire money out of the country.
Oh.
Now, he's already worked on that, maybe not as hard as he first announced, as he telegraphed when he mentioned that, but should migrants getting welfare be prevented from sending taxpayer funds abroad?
Yes, they should, and the Treasury Secretary is working on it. So are state treasurers across the country. Treasurer Vivek Malik in Missouri is actually working on a bill right now to prevent this issue. And the thing is, the reason why this is so important is exactly what Caroline was saying. When you've got a single dollar that goes to the Leering Center that's stolen.
The Leering Center, right.
That's the name of the organization. That's money that's taken directly out of the mouths of kids who need it, who are suffering from autism. Every dollar that's stolen means that somebody who has autism, a parent who needs money to take care of their child, they don't get that money. But the thing is, bad money leads and then good money follows when you're in the government, because those folks still need those benefits, which means your taxes are still going to go up. Tax and spend politicians are still going to spend that money, which then leads to the affordability issue. It leads to a spending crisis. This is a natural problem. Now, I want to say this, because Marcus brought this up. Where's the accountability? The accountability comes from our state financial officers, the state treasurers on the front end. They're able to help develop eligibility, verification, and qualification requirements to make sure that dollars don't go to the wrong places. And then on the back end, our state auditors are able to verify that money and actually perform audits based on the criteria. So our folks are well positioned to tell the story, and they're well positioned to stop the fraud. Trick question, does anybody know the name of the treasurer in Minnesota?
I do not.
There is none.
Ooh.
They eliminated the position in 1998.
Oh,
this
my
is a problem.
goodness.
When you have no officers who have the courage or the political power to exist, then you don't have this issue.
But see, OJ, your presentation of that topic doesn't seem partisan. And I like that because for those folks in the middle trying to decide where they want to go, they want to hear about fiscal, conservative, and responsibility.
Yep.
They want to know how it's impacting them, knowing that their fees are going up or their taxes are going up. And when you leave the political rhetoric out of it, you get people's attention a lot faster. You just point them to the dollars and cents, and common sense usually will prevail.
By the way, Kennedy, one thing that you have to mention in all this, I mean, the focus on a lot of perhaps illegal migrants that were taking advantage of our system. Milton Friedman used to say, the great free market economist, you can't have open borders and a welfare state simultaneously.
Yes.
And it appears that the word got out in the world that if you wanted to take advantage of free stuff, come here. You don't even have to be a citizen.
Yeah, and that is where, you know, people have pointed out in Minnesota, that's where tribalism and empathy created this resource-sucking monster. And, you know, he was absolutely right. And progressives have proven that. You either have to build a wall around the welfare state or you have to have a wall in your country that keeps people out who are going to use their tribalism for ill-gotten gains.
Or both.
Or both. Thank you to my panelists, OJ, Caroline, Marcus, Lamonis, of course, and Kennedy. Thank you all.